Hello, and welcome to our discussion around Google Drive for Work. My name is Ariel Kern, and I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Google Drive, and we're joined here by Scott Johnston. I'll let him introduce himself.
I'm Scott Johnston. I head up Google Drive. I'm sorry I'm a little late. Obviously the game was a little distracting.
So Scott, we launched Drive for Work yesterday. There's a lot going on. People are really excited about it, and for everyone listening, Scott has been here since before Drive launched, and so it's a pretty awesome opportunity to kind of hear the road that Drive has taken the past few years and our vision looking forward. So, please share.
It has been a long time. When I started at Google, I told them I would stay for 2 years, and 8 years later, I'm still here. So we launched Drive 2 years ago. So we're still kind of a baby, but in those 2 years, we've been working really closely with our business customers, just trying to understand exactly what it is that's important to them when they adopt cloud storage. It's a big step for a lot of companies, and so it's something that we want to make as easy as possible. And so I think those conversations kind of broke down into a couple key themes. One is security, which I don't need to explain in detail, right? It's obviously important that your content's secure and you feel comfortable with it in the cloud, and so that's why we announced encryption in transit between our data centers and at rest on our servers. So that was a big piece to just people having peace of mind with having their content in the cloud. I think the other area that really came that was a common theme with our business customers was just control and visibility, and that's why Drive for Work comes with a whole new audit package, which gives our customers full visibility into where their content is, how is it being shared, how is it being who's viewing it, and so I think that's a big step towards just understanding where everything is and feeling. And having a good view of how your content's being used, and that also came with another piece of that is audit API. So our Drive SDK is actually our Drive SDK team is the largest team in Drive because we think that's just a critical part of any product in the cloud. And so the audit API I think will be a really interesting area where we'll see both our customers and our ISVs do some really interesting things. It's a great extension mechanism because a lot of the audit capabilities are really specific to individual businesses. There are banks that need to trigger on certain words and for example, and so I think that'll be a great thing to see where that goes. And so in terms of then control, we added a set of controls that lets our admins have selective decision making around who can use what areas of the product. So for example, you might have a legal team that you don't want to use the desktop sync product, and so you can now turn that off selectively for that team if that's what you need. So I think that sort of all wraps up into a lot of capabilities around control and visibility. And then finally, I think the product was launched 2 years ago with individual pricing, individual storage. So it came with 30 gigs free, and then admins could buy additional storage for each user. And I think in talking to our customers that were adopting Drive, I think it was clear that they spent a lot of time on storage, which worrying about who was using it, the cost of it, and that wasn't good for the IT departments, and it wasn't good for the users. And so something that we pride ourselves on in Google is having the infrastructure that can really is a real differentiator for us. So really, in the end, we are a company that can produce the cheapest CPU byte bandwidth, and so when we looked at our cost of storage and the work that our engineers have been doing to drive down storage costs, I think it became clear that really the right thing to do in this situation is to offer unlimited storage, so that businesses could just get on with their work and not worry about what was going into the cloud, how much space it was taking up. And that's truly unlimited. It's not sort of asterisk, call us and we'll negotiate or something. It's unlimited. I think for us at Google's scale to say unlimited, I think is a huge statement. And it wasn't just about that, but also about getting, the minimum file size was 1 terabyte, and we took it up to 5 terabytes, just to make sure that you never have to think about what you're putting in the cloud, and you need to get it up there so it's available, on all your devices. It's safe and it's really easy to share. So I think those are kind of the key themes with Drive for Work. So I think there's obviously a lot more there that we can talk about. That's just a quick overview of where we've come.
Awesome, and we have some questions from users to dig in deeper on a couple areas. So one issue that comes up a lot with companies is they want to make sure they have control of information. And Drive has an individual ownership model. So
Yep.
along with that, companies want to make sure that they still maintain the information after people leave or change teams. So how does Drive for Work handle this ownership structure?
Well, it's a great question. I think, one thing that as we looked into this area, I think one thing that's important for a business is that they have accountability for the content. So ownership is an important concept, and it's an important concept both to admins so that there is someone that is responsible for that content. It's also important to users because it means that they are in control of their content. And it's not like it can be hijacked. And in your classic models, hijack's maybe the wrong word, but in your classic models, you sort of put it onto a general file server with really no connection to the users. And so I think it's an important thing to keep and have direct links to the users. But as the question points out, people move, they leave, they move teams, and so Drive for Work comes with a whole new flow for changing ownership. So, for example, if someone leaves the company, it's as part of the deprovisioning flow of a user. You actually are given options for how to transfer their content, and this is kind of the equivalent like to, a manager getting, all the files of one of their employees that's leaving, dropped into their home door, that kind of thing. Same exact model, except you're making more fine-grained decisions about where it goes. Oh, by the way, that reminds me of another part of Drive for Work, actually, that we didn't talk, obviously, in the keynote. You only have a few minutes to talk about your product. But one really neat addition that I'm excited about is admins now have a window of 30 days, in that range, to actually recover accidentally permanently deleted files. And so that's one of my favorite features because it happens and people empty their trash and don't realize and don't, everyone's busy. And so, this was something that we would do on an ad hoc basis for our customers, but now it's in the admin's hands, and so it's a quick, one-click recovery, which I think is a really great step forward for us.
Yeah, that's exciting. And, you talked a lot about how much Google's infrastructure is able to provide this unlimited storage, and the pricing change around storage has happened. So some of the questions: do you see storage pricing going down, or would pricing change in the future? This is a big change with Google Apps for Business of sort of this new pricing and new package. And so what should people expect in the future, or is this pretty stable for now?
I mean, I think it's hard to go cheaper than unlimited. But at a high level, I think a long time ago we used to pay for computing on a CPU cycle basis, and that we've obviously we've gone way past that. And I think one of the things that was clear as we really dug into this space is in moving to the cloud, you got a lot of amazing things out of it. So you can access it anywhere, you can share it easily, it's always safe. But there were some things left behind, I think, in doing that. And for example, the disk on the computer that I'm working on right now is cheap. It's really cheap. And we turned and looked and went, wait, but storage in the cloud is really expensive, and that doesn't make any sense, right? It's not. You're now in a cloud world that's and storage is more expensive. Like, doesn't make sense. So that was, I think, an important step for us to say, look, that's not where it's about adding value to the user. It's not about this storage concept, right? And so I think overall we should all expect that the cost of storage is going to keep going down. But what we want to do with Drive for Work is just eliminate any thought about that particular dimension. And I think that's just a general trend in the industry, and I think we believe we're the best poised to take it down to zero.
And we've talked a lot about different security and audit controls. Can you talk a little bit about what are some of those specific things we've added with Drive for Work, and what does that mean for people on their day-to-day basis, running information or running IT at their companies?
Yep. So we have a concept called org units, and OUs is what we call them for short. And these are a structure for organizing your company, and it also, as you might expect, synchronizes with LDAP, Active Directory, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll plug into an existing system, or you can use our system to structure your org. And what that allows you to do then is to apply these policies at the OU level, so at the org unit level. So something like we were talking about earlier, which is the desktop product. You can disable that for specific org units. You could also decide who can use or who can allow access to Drive content from third parties. And so there's a set of these controls that comes with Drive for Work. Another thing, actually, in that same theme is we also added the ability to whitelist Drive apps. And so what that means is you could buy, for example, let's say Balsamic. So that's a very popular Drive app of ours. And you could buy that as a company-wide, and then whitelist it, but not have to have Drive apps enabled globally. So it's something that lets admins, make finer grained decisions in that same sort of theme about, how the content's being used.
And another big security announcement we had yesterday was around encryption, and we talked about new files being encrypted. And does this mean old files aren't encrypted, or what can we expect around the security of our files?
And that's something where, yeah, everything coming into Drive actually for quite some time now has been being encrypted. Both and encryption. So we've always had the encrypted step between your computer and our data centers, and that's obviously that's important with SSL and HTTPS. But then beyond that, now all content that is transferred between our data centers, so as we balance things and move things around, that's all encrypted now. And then at rest on our servers, all content's encrypted. We have, for a startup guy, I don't know if I get to say that after 8 years, but for a startup guy, we have some insane amount of content in the Drive corpus, and that takes time and machines to run encryption. So I think we're 90% of the way through, and that should be done shortly.
Awesome. And one last question, kind of pulling it all together. What are you most excited about with the future of Drive? You've seen it come a long way, and with Drive for Work, there's been big changes coming and a lot happening in Drive in the workplace. And what are you really excited about that we're going to be able to change in the workplace, or make life easier for people and working the way they live? And it's a big question, but anything you can
well,
share.
I think actually, along the lines of questions, I think if folks have questions, be sure to post to Twitter with the Drive for Work hashtag, and we'll get back to them. I think there's probably no end of things I'm excited about. One of the things that I love about the Drive team is it's truly a global team, and so we're in 7 Google offices. So we're in Sydney, Mountain View, Boulder, LA, Tokyo, New York, and Bangalore. And I think there's an amazingness to that fact that the team is always thinking about accessibility and everybody having access to this product. So, for example, we're in 70+ languages, and I think that's just truly amazing in my mind, because it means anybody can access this product with in their native language. I think that, or I should say, almost. We're we still have, I think, probably 20 more languages or something to do. And I think that beyond that, we spent just a ton of time on accessibility in the new Drive Web UI, and it was just a huge step forward for us. Spent a lot of time with things like JAWS that help people with vision limitations, use the product, and I think it's a huge step forward. It is without a doubt in my mind the most accessible web app that Google has created, and so that, I think, being able to get the product, which I think just improves the efficiency of how you get things done. That's true whether you're at home, you're at school, or you're at work, and getting that into as many people's hands as possible is really what I'm most excited about. I think we're just scratching the surface in terms of the kinds of productivity improvements we can apply to people's lives, and so I think it's one of those things where we're just going to keep making inroads here, and I think it's going to be an exciting time over the next couple of years.
Awesome, and your call for questions has we've got a couple on our list, so we can do sort of a speed round through some of them because
Perfect.
I think a lot of some confusion, but let's clear it up for everyone. So
Great.
First, is Office Compatibility Mode only available to Drive for Work?
No, that's actually both encryption at rest and in transit. Excuse me, as well as the new Docs. We didn't even talk about the Docs stuff, but the new Docs compatibility mode is actually available product-wide.
And for anyone who's not quite sure on the call, Office Compatibility Mode is the ability for you can edit Microsoft, Excel, Word, and PowerPoint files across your Android device, your iOS device, or through the Chrome browser without downloading or purchasing any software. So that is available to everyone, which is pretty exciting.
And this is kind of it's even a step beyond that, which is both that plus it's online and offline. So you're able to work on any device from anywhere, whether you have an internet connection or not. And I think that's something where if we can get people to stop worrying about where they are, what they have, what device they have with them, and then more importantly, stop thinking about format. Like, format shouldn't be something that you think about when you're trying to get things done. And so I think that's a big step for us with Docs.
Definitely. And there's a couple questions around who is able to buy this, and I'll kind of summarize all the questions and answers together. There's been a couple of questions around, is this different from Google Apps for Government, Google Apps for Education, and is this only available to Google Apps for Business, or is this part of the Google Apps Unlimited SKU? And so I want to kind of explain to everyone on the call, just to be clear. So Drive for Work is part of the Google Apps Unlimited SKU at the $10 per user per month, where you get unlimited storage and everything else we've been talking about with Drive for Work. Google Apps for Business is $5 a user a month. You don't have unlimited storage and some of the added features. You still have the whole package. So this isn't yet available to Google Apps for Government or for Education. Stay tuned for some of that coming down the future.
Yep.
And we have another question around APIs. Where is the place? Are these documented somewhere? And are there places for admins to go and get information around what APIs exist and how they can best utilize the auditing APIs?
Yep, they're fully documented. I believe it was all the documentation was pushed. It's developer.google.com/drive, and yep, it's like our SDK. In general, where there's a set of documentation supporting this, and it's both, just to get into detail a bit, it's both actually the audit API, but it's also an activity API. So it's probably 8 months ago, we released an activity view which let you select any folder file in Drive and see the history of changes. And this is a step beyond just the revision control, but also, where was it moved? Everything about it. Where was it moved? How was it shared? And was it deleted, et cetera, et cetera. And so we also are, as part of this, releasing an activity API so that can be extended as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Scott. This has been really informative. I hope we answered everyone's questions on the call. And, please feel free to post more questions, and we will answer them afterwards. And, I'm super excited for this. It's been a lot happening with Drive, and we definitely use it every day at Google, and it helps us get things done. And it's pretty exciting that some of these tools are able to get out into the world and help people work differently and in new ways.
It's a big step for us, and I think it's the result of a year and a half of really hard work from the teams. I'm just really proud of what they were able to pull together for this launch, it's a big deal for our product. I'm actually I need to figure out how to have this behind me with the Drive logos always. I don't know if someone can walk around with that behind me. These are amazing. But thanks for everybody for listening. We actually moved this Hangout on air later because of the game. So hopefully you were able to watch the game as well as attend.
Yep. Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of the games.
Perfect.
Bye.